All right, Jaclyn. I'm so excited to have you here. Well, first of all, thank you for taking time out of your crazy schedule. So let's start there. So I'm so excited to have you here because you are one of the main people that even got me on the gratitude train. So, and taking the woo-woo-ness out of it, I think, there's a lot of opinions on gratitude and things like that. So we're definitely going to get into that. But so Jaclyn Gallo, I have her on my live. I have you on my podcast. Like, whoa, me.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
I'm so excited. So let's just get right into it. How do you personally define gratitude?
I define gratitude as a perspective that you carry throughout your day where you find appreciation and joy in big things, little things, all of the things that happen. It's like an attitude you carry with yourself.
Oh, I love that. The favorite words in there are perception and attitude, because that's exactly what it is. And you said carry with yourself, meaning that you have to do it every day.
Yeah. And it's not just about the morning. So, like, I have a morning gratitude practice, and I feel like that's a common way that it's talked about. And I teach that as well. It's really important and helpful. But morning practices can only get you so far. And where a lot of people fall short is they do them in the morning and then they just completely forget about them and they return to the craziness of their day. And your job is to connect with that energy throughout your day, because that's really what's going to change your life.
Oh, for sure. When do you feel you got started practicing gratitude?
Yeah, I know exactly when I got started. The beginning of 2019, which is after I had super rock bottom moment. My first two business ideas had failed. I felt like I was a complete failure and I was very lost. And I started reading personal development books, hoping to find my way out of this hole I felt like I was in. And I kept reading about gratitude. So I bought my first gratitude journal on Amazon. It was super simple. It's just like literally 5 things you're grateful for. That was the entire journal, over and over and over again. And I would wake up every morning still in my bed and I would try it. And I realized that it made me feel better during my day, that I did that in the morning for myself. And so I never stopped.
I love that. So you started basically, like you said, you read all these books and they kept using this one word and you're going, okay, there's something about this word. If every single book I'm reading is using this, right? And so then you bought this book. Do you feel, especially in the beginning, was it hard to kind of make a list? And I say that in the sense, I think a lot of us, when we think gratitude, and especially in the beginning, we go, oh, I have a house, I have a job, the quote unquote basic stuff. But like you said, when you practice every day, repeating that every day kind of loses its meaning. So do you feel you had to search a little bit when it came to more in-depth gratitude?
Yes, I was having trouble at first, and I was listening to Rachel Hollis, her podcast. And one thing I heard her mention that really helped was to focus your daily gratitude journaling on 5 things that happened in the past 24 hours, as opposed to the big things. Because I was just writing the same things every day. Like, there's a roof over my head, I have food on my table, which those things are huge blessing, but it didn't really make me feel any different throughout my day. Whereas when I was writing things that had happened in the past 24 hours, like, oh, that kind person held the door open at Wawa, or, oh, my friend sent me a really thoughtful text. What changed after that is I started noticing the little things in real time and feeling grateful for them and thinking, I need to write that in my gratitude journal tomorrow, which really started to rewire my brain to see the moments in each day differently.
I love that. You made me think of my one time with my client, because this is one of the processes I do is, what is the one thing you're grateful for today? Like you said, within that 24 hours. So I love that Rachel Hollis said it. I'm on her same brain path, and she had said, she had mentioned how on her own, she was searching throughout that day to find that one thing that she wanted to talk about. And so it's cool that, like you said, you kind of change your mindset or perception on things. You're looking for the good. And I don't know about you, but especially in that beginning, when you're at that low point, it's really easy to find all the woes because they're everywhere, right? We can just list them today, but to really find more of those goods, it took a little bit.
Yeah. It does. And
Yeah,
it takes practice and it's hard and it's worth it.
it's so worth it. And going back, and I feel like one thing we keep repeating, so I want to say it again, is that this is an everyday practice, right? But you also mentioned, do it in the morning, which is great. So how do I practice it throughout the day?
Yeah. It's an intention you need to set and you may need to remind yourself of. So, something that Abraham Hicks teaches that I really love is called segment intending, where basically before you go into a segment of your day, you set an intention. So, if you're in your car and you're about to go into work, set an intention. When you pull up at dinner and you're about to go into dinner and meet your friends, set an intention. When you're in the bathroom in the middle of a holiday party, set an intention. So anytime that you can kind of just like slow down and reconnect, whether it's before the segment starts or even in the middle of the segment when you step away and get a break, set an intention for the way you want to feel. So I love to segment intend for gratitude. Like I'm choosing to see the good in this next situation. So I'm choosing to see the good at work today. I'm choosing to see the good at this family dinner that maybe will have some family drama involved, right? Whatever it is. And that's really, really helpful. So that would be the biggest thing that I would say has been supportive for me for bringing it throughout the day.
When you're saying see the good, what can you give a more of a in-depth example of what you mean? So I'm going to the holiday party, Thanksgiving's coming up. Like you said, there's family drama. We all got it, right? So how do I find that good? What does that mean?
Yeah. What's special about it? What makes it something that is a blessing? So maybe it's frustrating to hear your dad and your uncle argue about politics, but just thinking about the fact that your family's all together. I like to think about things that other people don't have, and that's not to like make myself seem better or anything, but like I'll think about my life and think like, wow, so many people maybe wish that they lived in the same place their family lives. And like all my family lives within like a 15-minute drive, and how special that is. Or so many people maybe wish that their parents were still alive and my parents are healthy and important parts of my life. And so many people maybe wish they had a good relationship with their siblings. And here I am, sharing a glass of wine with my sister. So even though maybe like all the things aren't perfect, right? Like you can really appreciate some small things about it. And I also like to see the good in people. So like sometimes with just any relationships you have, you will get triggered because you're human and you have limiting beliefs and you have fears, and you have defensiveness that'll build up. So sometimes, especially people who are really close to you may say things that trigger you. So instead of being triggered, I will do my best. And this is, of course, always a practice, a work in progress, to see the good in that person. So if they made like a comment that triggered me, like, how can I see the good in that person and their intentions? And was their intentions really to hurt me? Probably not. It's probably their own stuff. And then actually, like, I feel sad for them and I might like say a prayer for them, or, like it's sad that they're struggling so much with their mindset that they have to say this comment that actually triggered me because I'm struggling with my mindset. Right. And so it's so funny how all of that works. But yeah, so the two things I would say, just to summarize, are being able to like recognize what you have that maybe like other people wish they had, and it's just like so special that you have it, and maybe you don't like slow down to think about that all the time, and then seeing the good in the people around you, like the positives about them.
I feel like you gave such real examples, and I'm going, yep, that makes sense. Yep, been there. And so in the sense of, like you said, okay, two people are arguing at dinner, within 10 minutes, they're going to be seeing each other, they're going to start butting heads, right? But, finding that good, oh my God, my whole family's here. And you see this in almost every Christmas movie, right? That it's all chaotic, but there's somebody sitting with their glass of wine, their cup of coffee, and they're just watching the chaoticness because they see their whole entire family in one roof.
Yeah.
Right. And just thinking about that moment going, oh my God, everybody's here. Like you said, whether they did travel in or I'm lucky that they're in a 15-minute rock throw from me. Right. So having that appreciation, understanding that awareness, that perception. And that was another thing that you kept saying in the beginning is how you define gratitude. And all your examples were about having that different perception on things. And that's exactly what it was. Even when it came to that conflict with that other person in your life, whether it's your brother-in-law or it's your aunt or grandma always says that one comment, and so, like you said, the likelihood they actually woke up and said, I'm going to make Jaclyn upset today. That's my number one goal. It's really unlikely, right? They said a comment. You might have not realized that the pain that it might have caused you. You said we all have our own triggers. How many times did we talk to our significant other and we're like, hey, this hurt me because, and they go, oh, really? That wasn't, what do you mean? We were not on the same page. You're over here and I'm over here. That's not what I meant at all.
Yeah.
So how many times does that actually happen? But it does take that 2 steps back because it's so easy to get triggered and then explode, have a reaction, say something that you want to take back. You know what I mean? So I love the example because like I said, as you're talking, I'm going, yep, been there. Yep.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
It's part of the human experience.
And I love that we're normalizing it, right? And again, when I brought you on here, it's because you're one of the people that brought gratitude into my life and taught me how to practice it, took the woo-woo-ness out of it, but also, normalized it. It doesn't, just because you're practicing gratitude, and this is something I've been talking about in my last episodes too, it's not that everything is happy and go lucky.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that there's not going to be any bad. There's not always going to be good and rainbows and butterflies life. We're just changing the script.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. It's seeing what's there, accepting the things that aren't good and finding the good. There's always good if you look for it. There's always bad if you look for it. You can accept the bad. That we're not about toxic positivity. It's going to be supportive for you to be honest with what's going on, right? That might help you grow in certain ways, have certain conversations that need to be had, or make certain changes in your life. But with that in mind, you can also find good. You can always find good. I mean, in any situation. And sometimes you don't know why. And that's okay. You don't have to. So, like, for example, I can think of a time last December when my husband and I were flying to a wedding in Tennessee for one of my husband's friends. And our flight was a connection, a layover, because there were no direct flights to this specific airport we were going to. And our layover was in Atlanta. And first the layover was like delayed. So now it's like 1 a.m. We're still waiting. At 1 a.m., we find out that our flight was now delayed till 6 a.m. So now we're stranded overnight in Atlanta. And my husband's reaction is annoyed. And I just feel like, okay, I'm annoyed too, right? I can feel the feelings. And I trust that this is serving us. I trust that there's good in this. I can't see it, but God forbid, maybe the plane was going to crash. Maybe we're going to meet someone in the airport that's going to be a life-changing conversation for one of us. Maybe we're going to have this really powerful conversation in our relationship that we wouldn't have if we weren't awake into the wee hours of the night. Maybe I'm going to have an idea for my next book because I'm going to watch a movie in the airport and it's going to spark something. I don't know. And guess what? I still don't know. Looking back, I don't exactly know why, but I have faith that there was something there for us. So I often say myself a prayer, please help me understand or be open to that there's something here for me. Like, I know there's something here for me. I'm open to it. I'm open to receive whatever it is that's here for me in this situation. And so I think that it helps you understand that you may not always know like what the good is, but you can be open to seeing it. And sometimes you'll see it and sometimes you won't. But as long as you have an underlying trust that there is divine timing and things are working out in your favor, then you don't always need to see it. You can just trust it.
I love it. So how many stories do we have that we're going, oh, I missed this flight. My alarm didn't go off, or this meeting got canceled, or whatever the case may be. And it goes, but guess what happened because of it?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So many of my clients, they'll say that they're like, oh, well, my seat got moved on the plane and I ended up getting this person who ended up then being one of their clients. And it's just like that trickle train of things actually happening. But if we're not open to it, we might not see those possibilities. But you also mentioned something else. You mentioned your husband. And so a lot of us, right, we live in this self-care, self-love world, and maybe our significant others aren't at the same excitement about it. And so when there's a situation like this, he's annoyed, he's frustrated, and you're trying to see the good in it, Tell me about how that works with your relationship. How do you go, because in a, first people are going, oh, she's probably just sitting there all smiling and it's going to be great. And he's, "Ugh, this is annoying," which I know is not true, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious in this instance because he normally doesn't have this kind of reaction, but I think he was really tired because we literally thought about like, should we rent a car and drive? And he's like, you know what? Let's just go home. Like, let's just skip the wedding. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go. The biggest thing is embodying the energy that you believe and that is open to the possibilities and open to the good. It doesn't have to be this like overwhelming in your face, like, I'm happy that we're at the airport, right? Is that true? Like, no,
No.
probably not. But my energy was calm, grounded, trusting, and I embodied that. And what happens is like attract like. So either I would have to come down or he'd have to come up. Those are the only choices for our energies that are now in the same energy circle, right? And
Mm.
that's why if you're around someone who seems really positive and you're negative, you're going to be like, I got to get away from this person because your energy's got to come up or theirs has to come down. That's just how it works. So I just always hold the energy that I believe to be true. And I have found that the people around me will come to my energy, especially if it's grounded. It's not in their face. I found the same thing with wedding planning. I know that can be stressful, and this is perfect timing to talk about. I did a lot of planning with my mom and my mother-in-law. So we had three people, three different opinions throughout the process. And it was wonderful. And part of the reason it was so wonderful is because I segment intend it before every meeting, before every conversation. I choose to be connected to a calm, grounded energy. And I would bring that into the conversation, the way I would speak, the way I would react. And it changed the dynamic of every single conversation we had. And I mean, both my mom and my mother-in-law have a lot of energy in a good way, but that could have made me have a lot of energy and then made me have not calm, not grounded. And then if we were to have disagreed on something, it could have ended so poorly. So I think the biggest thing with any group, whether it's your coworkers, your spouse, your children, I mean, this is huge for parenting. People always ask about parenting and mindset and how this impacts their children. The biggest thing is embodiment, right? They don't always hear the words you say, but they feel your energy and they see the way you act. And that's what's most important. So just be the person that you want to be, and know that the people around you will come around, even if it takes a long time. Like I was on the whole manifesting train for years before my husband started like even being open to it. But the more he saw me living the experiences where like I thought about something, I talked about it, and it came into my world, and he's like, holy crap, that was like magic. And I'm like, no shit, that's how it works. The more he would say, I'm manifesting this thing. And that was really cool to see too.
Oh, I love that. I feel like this is such a whole other story I want to get into, but I'm trying to stay focused, stay focused. So the next thing I wanted to think about, ask you is, what do you feel is the one or the biggest takeaway since you started practicing gratitude?
It's safe to be happy now. And that's the only way that you're going to, this sounds so simple, but be happy. Because if you keep telling yourself, I'll be happy when, you'll never be happy because it'll always be placed in the future. And I know because I lived that for many years. And actually, around the time that I started practicing gratitude is when I started to realize that this mindset was hurting me. It took me a few years to really work on it and be completely transparent on the journey. I don't think it happens overnight, but it's worth it. And to be able to say right now, like, I'm happy in my life today. I'm excited about where I'm going. Like, it's so fun. And that makes me happy. Like, because I'm going towards something that excites me, that makes me happy today. And I romanticize my life. And I think that that's deeply linked with gratitude. Like if I find that I'm grateful for my warm cup of tea, I grab a cup of tea before a live call and I do that for myself. So my gratitude helps me find things that I enjoy in my daily routine and then implement them, which helps me be happy now and not feel like I need things outside of myself to be happy or outside of my current circumstances to be happy, because that's ultimately not true given that your basic needs are met.
so much. The first thing is I love the best is that you said safe to be happy, because we can really have that in different ways, right? Like you said, being okay with where I'm at now, knowing that I don't have to, this doesn't have to happen, then I'm going to be happy, right? Because we can do that, especially as business owners. When I get this many clients, when I make this amount of money, when I get this dream office, when I get the next best iPhone or whatever the case may be, right? It's the now, and how are you making it so now? And again, it's a warm cup of coffee. It's that I got to connect with somebody today. It's that I get to make my own schedule today. There's so many different things that I can be grateful for right here, right now. I get to live out my dream. I mean, how many times, and this, especially in the beginning when we're trying to do this, it's, okay, should I go back to a 9 to 5? Should I go do this? Should I do this instead? Should I pick up this part-time job? We go through those, inner dialogues with ourselves going, oh my God, what should I do? And it's really going back to, I'm safe and happy where I'm at today. And that's okay. It kind of goes back to that. I have the roof over my head. I do have food. Maybe it's not the big filet. Maybe it's not, the gourmet meals, but I still got to eat. I'm still healthy. Right. And so kind of going back to like you said, going back to the basics is so important.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons that people are afraid to allow themselves to be happy now, they think that that will make them become complacent and settle. It doesn't. It actually fuels you more. You have more energy to move towards your goals. You're more confident in yourself. It just supports only. It never takes away.
I love it. I love everything you talked about today. If someone's listening, what is the one takeaway you want them to hear today?
Gratitude is so much more than writing things in a journal in the morning. That's a great place to start, but it's about the energy you carry throughout your day and your inner dialogue and self-talk about yourself and others throughout your day.
And tell us a little quick thing about where you're going in your career right now in your business, and then how the best way for everyone to connect with you.
Yeah, I'm writing my third book. I'm speaking at lots of events. Those are the main things that I do. I speak about positive mindset and resilience. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on all social media at Jaclyn Gallo, and my podcast is called Spark Your Light.
And it's a beautiful podcast. I always recommend them if you're like, after mine, no offense. No, it's definitely on the list though. I love it. You always have great guests and great stories. So Jaclyn, again, seriously, I really respect you and really appreciate you coming on here and just enlighten us on all that you do and offer.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.